Oh, God.
I know, it's kangaroo shit loony, I know, but we gotta try.
I'm not saying we shouldn't, but you made it back last time, okay? Maybe you don't next time. And who knows what else it's doing to you. I mean, the next dose could kill you. It should be me.
It's gotta be me. Look, I have the youth tumor. Your pineal gland is old as shit. It's literally impossible for you.
Oh, God.
Welcome to a new podcast called Now That We're Older. We're older every second, minute, hour, day, week, and year. How many chances are we taking to change, heal, and let go of egoic need to be right? We'll be moving through thoughts and ideas as we grow each day, breaking down the complex ways we grow and understand life. And that it's so ever-changing, all we can do is move with it. A quote I've been telling myself for the last bit of time is, as soon as I say, it's that and will always be that, I've lost a very valid and important part of life. To keep up with this and many other conversations, including other entertaining medias, be sure to follow on Instagram at the Isha Music. Welcome. Now that we're older.
If I could push and fly into the sky, like in my dreams, I see no reason why. Am I awake or wishful of the night? When gravity decides to not apply. If I could push and fly into the sky, like in my dreams, I see no reason why. Am I awake or wishful of the night? When gravity decides to not apply.
Today's episode is called Boundaries. Holding me back? Question mark. If you couldn't hear the question mark at the end of my tone there. This is an interesting project for me because it is stemming from me having transitioned into a very different part of my life. I don't know if a lot of you can relate to that. I'm sure you can as we all get older. But it's a matter of me trying to extend myself to the world, be more expressive, letting down some of the boundaries that I might have, and understanding whether those boundaries are helping me at this point in life or holding me back. We'll see a lot of those boundaries were set into place some years ago for about 5 to 7 years due to me just being misled and not understanding what's going on, what's happening, how to move through things, how to understand things, while simultaneously, not being too confident, as much as I might sound confident in real life, not being too confident in understanding or knowing whether I am holding healthy boundaries or whether I am just isolating myself. Isolation has been a really big part of my thought process within the last little bit of time, simply because as a child and as an adolescent youth, I was far from isolated. COVID hitting in 2020 did a lot of that. But even still, now that a lot of things are opening up and people are able to expand and move out into the world a little bit more, I'm still finding myself, even outside of the conditions of COVID, feeling quite isolated. I am a brand owner that holds a music label, a food business, and a handful of other things falling into the holistic categories of life. But to be in that category, in those categories, and to be an entrepreneur and a brand owner, you really need to step out and be out there. And that's something that I've been finding difficult to do. My boundaries have been set into place, again, like I mentioned, because of what I'd call, quote unquote, my time being wasted. Merely because taking accountability, I was not paying a certain amount, a certain kind, or enough attention to the people around me, what they were saying, what they were doing, and if it was right for me. Love how I said that without, as best as I can recall now, not casting any judgment, because a lot of accountability is on me to understand myself within this concept. Now, an action item that I've taken over the last little bit of time, and I'll give it about a year, maybe a year and a half, is expressing less upfront, whether that be excitement, general thoughts, disagreement, whatever it is. Like I mentioned, as a youth, an adolescent, and even a early adult, I was far from isolated. I found pleasure and joy in talking to random people. I was always joking. Definitely held a lot of space for people that were feeling, a certain way, uncomfortable, sad, and giving that space. Again, while simultaneously being outgoing, being a jokester, stepping out into the spotlight, and not realizing a lot of times that that's what I was doing. Because, like my mother reminded me, I've been blessed with the ability, not the ability, blessed with the knowledge of knowing that I have my voice, and how to use it, and that it is okay to use it. But over the last little bit of time, I have stopped expressing so much up front. Those reasons being, I have found over time that I was putting myself in the wrong places that weren't good for me, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, places that just were not good for me. And a lot of that was because I was misunderstood. How do I know I was misunderstood? Because I've come to take time over seasons to commune with people, to talk to people, to understand how they're moving through life, as well as myself, to understand, okay, does this person truly understand me? Do they know what I mean by certain things that I say? Are they able to keep up with my mannerisms, my habits, my character, without feeling any type of negative way, as if I am not supportive, there for them, understanding in any type of way? And I found that has happened a lot in my life, simply because people need a certain amount of support. They need a certain amount of attention. They need a certain amount of validation to feel as if, and I'll speak for myself, to feel as if I care. When caring is not synonymous with a certain amount of validation or attention. Caring is dependent on a conversation that's had between people over a period of time to understand and express what care is for each person. That being said, I was definitely over time misunderstood, as my character, my mannerisms, my habits were with a lot of people seen as something that they could either project as a negative or simply take as a positive that was so welcoming to them that they could run with it, do what they wanted without checking in with me, asking me how I felt about it, or inquiring if I was actually okay myself while they were running with this positivity that I would put out into the world, this openness I would put out to the world. Being that I was misunderstood, again, being put into and putting myself into places that were not good for me, my suspicions were that people didn't truly take the time to understand me, yet assume that they know. And that happened with a lot of friends, a handful of friends over the last handful of years, coming back into conversation and hearing people's projections of what they think of me, what I was doing, who I am, and why I should have, could have, and would have done something different for them. That has been a very real thing for me. And I've come to understand, okay, I've been misunderstood in terms of who I am, what I'm doing, my capacity in this world, how I feel about this person, and what it means for me to show up. Regardless of what the other person thinks I am doing when we're not together or talking. A big part of this is accountability, though. Understanding that I am a person and people are always changing. Even if someone keeps the same house, the same job, the same car, what have you, we're constantly changing. Our favorite show might be one show, one season, and then the next something else pivotal comes out, changes our perspective, and then that's our favorite show. Food is another thing that shifts here and there. A lot of people have their favorites, and over time, your favorite might change. Same thing with anything else in life. Basic, simple, right? The thing about it is that change is actually more pivotal than we think, more pivotal than I thought, especially for myself. See, I'm always changing, and perhaps that's a big part of why I might have been or perceived myself as being misunderstood. My mother got her master's in human development and social change, and her thesis to this day still puts me in awe. The point of her thesis is that life, the human mind, the human spirit, the way we move, it can be lived, it can be seen, it can be semi understood, but prospectively, it cannot be fathomed. And that is because it is so constantly changing. And last example I like to give for myself is the tree that's in my backyard. Every single day it loses leaves. Every single day. So if I were to go to tell somebody, look for this tree in this place with this amount of leaves, if they tried to look for it the next day, they would not find it because it has changed. And thus, it might be misunderstood as something else, if that makes sense. See, a byproduct of change is misunderstanding. And that's just life because things are changing every second. That being said, it makes a lot of sense that people might have just been trying to keep up with me, prospectively, because I didn't notice how much I had changed. And with that change, perhaps I simply didn't understand that people were doing their best to move with what they thought I wanted and needed. Now, that's not to say that there are people on this planet, that there aren't people on this planet that are not bent on taking advantage of people, getting the upper hand in a situation, regardless of who else needs assistance or space. And understanding that I have been one of the people that have been misunderstood and that have taken, in some aspect, advantage of people that were misunderstood. Now, with that much misunderstanding over periods of time, it's important, vital to express later a sense of understanding. Not necessarily an apology. Apologies are great; they're good, but expressing an understanding. Because what I found at the end of the day is that myself and many other people simply just want to be understood. And once people understand somebody else, there's a lot of times instantly a moment of, okay, no need to necessarily apologize or feel bad or sorry for misunderstanding and taking advantage. Now I simply know that the language that I used, the expression that I used, and the way that I showed them, you simply didn't understand. And that's really difficult. That's been really difficult for me to understand and to move past over time. And thus why I isolated myself, because I did not think, I was not confident in, and did not have faith that that understanding would be had for me over a period of time. Why? Maybe because I had seen so many moves and actions from other people that I felt it was impossible for them to change, that other situations wouldn't get better for me, and I would continue to be placed in the never ending, or what I would think is the never ending cycle of being misunderstood and taken advantage of in my life. Thus, why we are at this point, which is this podcast. Because now that it has been about 15 minutes, I'm older. And expressing this has helped me to move thoughts from the back of my mind to the front, and from the front of my mind out of my mouth. And now that I can hear myself speak on these things, I understand that I can do something different, that my ego has changed, that it is dissolved a little bit over this period of time. Has yours? Can you relate to anything that's been said? Do you have any thoughts you want to share? Is there anything you disagreed with? See, now that we're older, we have a chance to say all of these things, to have an understanding over time, because that's how life moves. And with that understanding over time, we can then say, I'm understood, I am seen, I am heard. And because I'm seen and I am heard and understood, I now feel as if I can step out into the world and show more up front, to express more right out the gate, and to understand that it's going to take a little bit of time to be understood. Why? Because I'm constantly changing, and perhaps my boundaries might have been holding me back. To keep up with this and many other conversations, including other entertaining medias, be sure to follow on Instagram at the Isha Music. Now that we're older.
When nothing's said to remedy the high, and all you have to keep here is your mind. Reality can really be detached when gravity decides to bring you back. If I could push and fly into the sky, like in my dreams, I see no reason why. Am I awake or wishful of the night? When gravity decides to not apply. If I could push and fly into the sky, like in my dreams, I see no reason why. Am I awake or wishful of the night? When gravity decides to not apply.